Express show nyenda kutangira iyo mugenzi wanje yabasa kuba natogita haga majingo kureba ngo wafuna makuru agaheru obudakika numunana bonko barabamushamushanju yihangwe amakuru kurugo munsi ya heru nimbani ngakutsia haha kandi umuhereza nde Easydee Omwishikatwa karahangi gambirine wenyini umwana w'abakama bamurema karema mwebere munonga kuba numwegita ritwe kuranga tabasa kufuna amakuru erijoba Israel bwanyuma yo kwetero bahama na America America naye kajigara kamwe tuhumura mugenzi witu tutukurugamu tutukwasa kurugamu babasa kuba no reaching a consensus mwene Netanyahu prime minister wa Israel yabasa kuba na gamba bagaro meeting babasa kutensa nshonga za Rafa na America nayo yapondoka ninza kuba nimekuletera byone omuri ebyo orutaro rukwaya Putin bwanyuma yo kuterwa bomu agenzere yagenda aha base yamahe ya combat na nabyo mwanya kubasa kureba enjonga okuzemerire abase kureba ko aragaruke kurumbo kundi yatinisiriza yagaya everyone ninga shenyonyi ezaza kuretera Ukraine za F16 yaziramo bituri agakuretera Bongereza bwanyuma yo kureba enshohoza ya sente kuzo mu Ukraine everyone kutwara mu Ukraine nayo yabanza kwetera mutoki yareba Russia kiyakuhindura emirusyo yatakinga Bongereza ne basako jayemereramo bayitera mutoki bashanga bari nyuma munonga mwen binoko kutina kwa man bashanga mahegabo abamwe twarafiti abandi ninza kubikweta byona batina nkuba kurumbwa tubakwasa kusustaining orutaro rwona mpaka kurwemereza ho bire buringwa kurigirira abyo kurwana sabya bibine na namba zabo z'abantu mu Korea ba Dr bayisharinga bwanyuma ya government ikorete cyandiko cyo kongeza abeji bokushoma bushaho kubasa ko bad meetinga kubikiza kushoma bushaho mu matendekeraga yiguraga universities bajyangwe cinca kwita umurimo gwabo bwanyuma y'abantu kufuradinga on profession ebyona nimbikwita mu Sky Express show nanye Easydee Omwishikatwa karahanga igambirine Sky Express show mutabarucheyo na ntabatabaruchize mu sports na Ray Jose mwen tukamongereyo mu Sky Express na niwe basa kutwagitaga majinga barya heru na kwakira atahurra emitwe y'amakurugeri jo dakika ni 11 zarengo mushamushanzu yihangwe bwanyuma ya United Nations Security Council kushitama ekatera karuru ahawo kwemereza urutaro rwa Israel na Gaza 14 member states zona zikikiriza kugira ngo urwemere America ekabstaininga karuru kayo ekanga kusharamo kugira ngo urwemere ninga rutemere ekabstaininga yaja ati mwebare nyuna ntarho imwe mbaraka ruraka nyakanje mutakabara nyotine hinkugwa echo kikargaye cha shajiza Israel shajiza Israel akujebembera Benjamin Netanyahu yaja ati America namuchikora munta ahabonye mutu ya morukwe America okunama mutashazere mukore kasaide y'umurumu njanche manyisa ngo Israel mwajiri ya morukwe atkande bino bintari ichereze mwen awirobo bakayemba kusindika akachiko koza kwa defense akachika ka defense bamwe badergetse baronzere kugira ngo basindike omuri Washington omuri America babase kutensa ba presenting plan zabo zo kurumbira chumwe Rafa bakatia Rafa kajishi bakajiya map kugira ngo bafuna mu muhekera wena abase kwesherekamo aho kuba ijobera rutakashira kutera karuru minister wa Abraham Grant abire yagenzera cyo mu Washington yagumayo mwene biko bamazire akaruru kamaze kurangirwa Israel yanyiga Benjamin Netanyahu yazibira delegation iriya yishimire kugenda kuzo muri Amerika kurango babasa kutensa mbera zo rutaro rurwa Rafa barebe engeri neha nanobu kugubuho bakubongeramo nane mihande bakubasa kugira ngo babatereho batemempenda kurango babasa kubana bakaunteringa abahekera batari hatari kurumiza ningashi kurumya abantu ababutosha abataro bakwasibe mundu mwene byo kubyabireho hati America yashitama na Garant Minister wa Defense wa Israel abayashira mu Washington batensa baragira bagamba byona ko bari yawo Senator Lindsey Graham ogo ni Senator wa South Carolina Musasire so ogo ni Senator Lindsey Graham abari ahakaruru area ticket ya Republican ekibina cha Republican na wabagenzo muri Israel ya meeting of officials bamwe yabagira ati nyona maragarukayo ninza gambira Congress ngambe ndebe nshongeze na hurura nezina areba then turebe atkonga cy'abantu munonga mu kimenyo nyoni supporting Israel ati adendio a Republican yona ni supporting Israel ngo kare hata America yashohoza makuru yagira ngo munyabura we Benjamin Netanyahu utatwata kubi habo kuba itwe America side yitu kugwamo yona side yitu agwamo obeno kimanya ngo America te kubasa kurekera Israel ugwamo kagogwitu tukabasa kurugaho mweno otareba mwencho yitu ahubwo kwa twayemereye tukagira ngo eco kwa cyabyona bona bakikiriza yes kutwayemereye tukagira ngo twayanga ensekene kutureba kubi kind of which tuine kushieldinga mwene to substance yitu kugira ngo twaronda itaza twagumaho umwanya turi neutral icyo nicyo kishime kwa nchikoreka ngo America yatina kweshwa zo munsi yona konka takabahoga neutral position ya United States against Israel. America iragumane hagira Israel mpaka biro byona mwenu Netanyahu nawo kabase kurecho yajatana chhura ati mbench kuise kubi kare atananyiteka tekere kubi na mango buntu mwakundye murukwe ngo hati nicereza eji delegates conference etubentwa kugiraho ahashonga za Rafa na kugambira abantu banje ba delegates mbenteka tekere bakabaye planningira mutwikirize mugake muscheduling runa ko rundi ningashijo berindi dene sindi cy'abantu banje bije muri America babase kuba nubaganira turebe twahendera nshonga za Rafa America yo negira nenda delegates bazayo babase kuba na nibatekaho the convenient date yo kwasa kwenda mu rutaroro ninga kwasa kumaraho chumwe ba Hamas abahekera ba Hamas aba then babase kuba nibemerezaho enkwatagana na no kucureza ensiyona abo kugira ngo ino mwika ari Israel hatensiyona naitabuka tekwenda kwagira Israel ebi ngo makurago.
Now, between the two allies, White House confirmed that Netanyahu's office has agreed to reschedule the meeting dedicated to discuss the Israeli military's plans for Gaza's southern city of Rafah. Reports claim that Netanyahu is now planning to send a delegation as early as next week, after the US allowed passage of a Gaza ceasefire resolution. Netanyahu called off a planned visit to Washington by senior Israeli delegation. The suspension of the meeting forced US to face a new obstacle as Washington tries to get Netanyahu consider other options to a ground invasion of Rafah.
What we have said is the kind of mission that we could support is a much more targeted, limited campaign that could still achieve the same objectives, that could still lead to the defeat of those remaining Hamas battalions inside Rafah, but without massive harm to the civilian population, without hindering the delivery of humanitarian assistance, and without actually weakening Israel's security instead of strengthening it.
Meanwhile, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham called on the Biden administration to allow Israel to work to destroy Hamas in Rafah. Recently, Republican Senator from South Carolina who was on a visit to Israel. Take a listen.
The 4 battalions that still reside in the Rafah region must be destroyed. That is non-negotiable. One thing I've learned from talking to the Israeli Defense Forces is if these battalions are left intact, everything they've achieved will be lost over time. So I urge the Biden administration, the Congress, to make sure that Israel has the time and space to achieve victory over Hamas militarily.
Earlier this week, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant held several discussions with senior U.S. lawmakers as threat of Rafah ground operations have increased differences between the United States and Israel. While meeting his Israeli counterpart, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin also said that civilian casualties in Gaza are too high. It also raised questions whether the U.S. is going to restrict military aid if Netanyahu decides to move ahead with the Rafah invasion.
Sky Express Show nyenda kwasa kwebaza okuratira enshonga z'amakuru, enshonga ezina makuru, enshonga ezina magufa kandi enshonga zukoreka ense kutora kureba ngo niwe wasa kuba no twegito mpaka mbwen ngubena kugambiri anshonga za America na Israel. America bwenshi ne yayana Israel yamara kujangu yakwata mu Iraka abantu bingi ejenshonga no mugiye buza enshonga ni nyingi munonga konka hayine enshonga ekoba eri eyigufa kandi enshonga ekuba namakuru munonga kureba ngu nanka asakutina otarreba nanka natina nanka otkandi habahochi nanka na wasakuba natina nanka iwe ozaho obase kwebuza bishinanga wagamba ogwakabunda habahochi. America ni hanga ryamana munonga, ni hanga ryo kubanza omuburuchumwe omunsi yona korete demokrasi, korete ombyukurwana the firepower, korete economy niyo kukirayo mwenu America age ahabwenchi negondera Israel, abwenchi Israel negamba America kinama nimanya tine muntu abahine bayachimburuze. America eine omundu muri America eine mu akachiko akimena kugambire aka IPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, nibegita ho na pro-Israel lobby barobi zabo. IPAC akachikako kakatandukwa muri America mission eri eyokusupportinga enkora yona ekwagira Israel wawanchenga akachikako ko ekigendererwa kyako nokutekaho empenda kandi kakikirisa America kwagira enkwataganisa ya America omukwagira Israel kyekwa nekora awanyitiziza kurungi akonko kachiko ka IPAC. IPAC netegeka America, wakutegeka America notegeka omutegeki, iwareba wa controllinga omutegeki wa America obeno manyangu wategeka America indirectly. Tekwasa kumutegeka kugira ngo utakorechi IPAC ino bushoborozi tinza gamba bushoborozi naman IPAC einaman go kubasa kuremesa omwebembezi we no muri America kwa isimbiroho kurabamu echo wanchenga obo isimba bwa meya obo isimba bwa senator obwa president wota kwataganisa nenkora ya IPAC mbatekwa kuhangura hatari mu kwiba karuru kwiyaho bakusinjireje chere oyikirize konka IPAC ekuretire akarura ko kusinga mbe nabagambire ko yasingise George Bush Senior ishe wa George Walker Bush. George Bush Senior akaretaho urungu jenja iri Israeli myaka jara 19 bamutera karuro kisanja tiya kirebe kindi na nabandi Trump ubo banaza kwija habutegeki mu kimena cya Republican akazamo IPAC ati nyoti ndikiriza Israel kubasa kubandi bagira byamamisho ati niza kuhagira IPAC niza kuhagira Israel omupolisi zona ati kandi Israel raguma rihanga rutari nkaba bakafiri bari abaferisuti ningashi bona ukujurwanasa ejo niyo policy ya IPAC ko banayenda akwa buri mwebembezi wena yayesimbiraho ahakifoshona ubo bwa meya ubo bwaki mbabanza bakweta IPAC Congress ostama IPAC kanjete nkorukiko rwa IPAC bona bija bashitama badressinga obahereze nshonga zawe manifesto yawe kuramare kuzo mu butegeki no kuba no yambota IPAC ninga no kuba no yambota Israel iwe nkiwe imhanda ni mahanda chi kwa manere kuzo mu ntebe iragumeno supporting Israel wamara kuba convincinga bajangu Yesu bakuhandika mu kitabo ngo hati itwa IPAC ntwa kuhagira nanka ahabwe ntebeji abo kugira ngo twarebe bigendererwa bye mwebwe n'ubiyamba Israel wachura nyenda kwise kugira ngo buri mwaka America ebene sindikira Israel billions magana 3 za military aid na nebindi kuteka mu military byamahe na no mukosa ebindi sente zurabura umwaka America ekushoza ekohereza Israel yeno jangwa abonje tonezihereza IPAC echi yakozere einamani go kubasa controllinga hawa butegeki ahabwa Public Affairs Committee yonkayo ikabanza hamba bya communication nema yo convincinga nema ku campaigninga etaku defaminga nema kora campaigns etakushisha umuntu wayisimba nawe kane manya kushisha umuntu leta kuhenda mateka woyisimbireho kugira ngo yabuzabuzo umuntu yamugambira kintu barebera kimwe ngo yototoyine makuru bakwima karuru bakahe we IPAC eya basakora byamu ninjangwa wanchenga njoko na Donald Trump obabe na ija macha zakasinga karuru aba innocent yesu nagaga no manya konga kamanza zo IPAC yajati nyoni nte kwakushajika Israel mpaka nabandi naba senators nabo nabazaye bajya ngo nyoni nza kusupportinga Israel mpaka hakufa nanchi ryo mu ntebomu njando wanchenga hat IPAC ne kwatre nati nicho kurebera Job Donald Trump hati abenaba na teka yibega kibina cha Democrats it's ajisindikiriza kugira ngo ubundi we Trump kabe na kombantu atemara government sente zona yazahereza Ukraine sente zona yazahereza Israel hati kwasa kugira ngo eteke hempenda kugira ngo Israel yangusiyo rutaro ruhangure bena prolonga rutaro sente zitweho tumentu jatuti achika kuno akabaja kandi ati nyowe Ukraine teine makuru abwanje atkonka America tseme kusupportinga Israel atkonka nyosha n'aba president tinza kuhagira Ukraine tinga cyane iki na 11 ati sentezo kubazagira mu Israel ishayizo rutaro rwagaza kwa rwahwiri ati nyoko na bende president wa America rutaro rwagaza kwa rwahwiri no muhura kwa kwegura then toza aside ya Democratic Party ekwebe mu Joe Biden hat Biden akahagira munonga Israel kugira ngo utakabasa kugireka ahubwo n'amayo commitment ye omukwizo mbutegeki yabakozere na IPAC wanchenga mbwen IPAC yone gumane betegereza bona Biden ahanyuma haho akijare tu mtu muhango Biden kugureta nawe akakari yanshonga z'abaturage ba Amerika kugira ngo pana warenzya government yarenzye muri Ukraine, government yarenzye expenditure ari Israel, abantu abaturage babutosha akwa tubona ta Amerika yona kugira ngo nehagira Israel haramu abo kujihakanisa yadena wamusinyisha karuru nagumana akora di campaigns kugira Rwanda sampaka nemane di campaigninga echagiro cha Amerika kwa supportinga Israel ababo mwen Biden yareba ngo abantu bamwe hata boja ngo Israel erengeserize abo kwa Israel mukutana kakamba jaja kurungi orutaye ruizire okushekura Gaza no kugira ngo hati ezo mu mashuma ezo mukutera Rafa ekibuga cya Rafa ngo abahicyane ho bari kandi Rafa na no kublokinga amahanda yo kuri to buyambi hata abantu ensi yona ntiyatabukire na Amerika yamwe abantu bamwe ntibahire Israel bakajya ngo pana kandi hata warengesereza yadent kuhagira wanchenga hata Biden nawe yenda kwesigama abantu abokugira ngo akaruru ko mu 11 katamusinga no sakwe kwatara IPAC abantu bakora bihegari hati Trump when ajirati tuine supportinga Israel to the limits when ananya government ya Joe Biden kugira ngo yes supportinga Israel tuna tuichiza supportinga Israel konkan government ya Democrats yo tetire mani kutemempenda kureba ngo Israel babasa kuba nehwerwa munonga beyond the imaginable or beyond the need assistance to the wanted assistance babasa kuhangora tarojuba ensetake cha wira wa Israel protecting izina ya Israel kandi babimarumbwire hatwa hurirebyo nico kureba garike bagamba Biden ngureka nico bagarike bagambira Netanyahu wa Israel ngusinika delegation yawo tuije tureka turonda runaku ningijoba turabasa kushitama na delegation yawe tutemempenda turokutwamara nyantu wabimanya mbwen na kurondera mu research na kurondera abebembezi ba America omu campaigns bona okubizire nibehayo kugambara IPAC nyona makozo mu ntebe niza kukoreka naza kureba amanyanga IPAC ehigari evi nibyo nakuretera.
When I become president, the days of treating Israel like a second-class citizen will end on day one.
America can't ever be neutral when it comes to Israel's security or survival.
America will stand unapologetically with the nation of Israel.
I'm a newcomer to politics, but not to backing the Jewish state.
On the first day in office, I will rip this catastrophic Iranian nuclear deal to shreds.
Palestinian children are raised in a culture that glorifies martyrdom and the willingness to die in the pursuit of killing or maiming Israel.
Express abono bo bachibena basakoretera mbebe mezo muri nyamwinji bona wakore bazo mu IPAC iwe imuka kasheshe okore campaign waje chiteketeko chokwe Simba wabero mpatika ko ekakunominatinga manifesto yawe ine kubera mu supportinga enkora ya Israel wano mangu terum IPAC neneza kurwana so muri America umukaruru kandi yakurwanisa it's very kare it's inevitable for you to win. Israel IPAC yo kureba nekize mukono gukurobinga einaba giga buru giga wa America wena nataka kuhereza ubuyamba mu IPAC mwen einesente eze kufandinga campaigns za kwa besimbiroho yamara kupasinga kugira ngo iwe ombaga mabona mbako hagira IPAC yo wachiza hengoga manifesto yawe yabeine mwensha kukira yogu mwento aza kuhagiriwe ni kwana kasente ka campaign hati yonka public affairs committee ekora habyo kurwaniriraho ningo kugambiraho marungi mu bantu nekora enteekateeka zayo ekuhandikaho ebirungi egumane ekora campaign zo mu bantu negamba onankanwe n'umurungi niwaine enkora nungi kushanga ngo yone nayo nekuyamba mu campaigns kugambirira na nebindi ekusiga amashito bereshera ubona kurabo niyo IPAC niyo nshonga habwenki okurebera America neti na Israel enshonga hari ejo niyo mpango munonga aho kuba wajihakanisa to kuza mu ntebe nozamu konka torufuna nizina hari 10 babona bambakanisa abantu 10 babesimbe bakwakanisa IPAC abantu 8 ninga mwenda twakasinga karuru ako omwana wokushanga yasinga kwakanisa IPAC mwena IPAC ngomana gaine controlling America ejione pro Israel policy implementa nchokura America nevunamo akwamba gamambo wagamba kubara Israel IPAC yone yakuhandikire ngo twahura cyo wagamba sema webare munonga iwe nkano wayi controlingire wano ende kishanje cyukurataho no wayi controlingire wagenzire wagambira to nabona mu nsasa iki neki eje niyo IPAC akakikwako nchokurebera Congress bwo yanaweza kuspasinga 95 billion kuya nkaga zikazo wa Ukraine izindi zikazo wa Israel bakajangweza Ukraine zishira hakabuza ngombaze processing za Israel ebintu ebyo abwe nshongejo bwanyuma ya Moscow kuterwa bomu bakazo mu kwenyamira President Vladimir Putin we akwasire umuhanda yagenda kubanza kuza kurambura arebe ebiahika ebintu bekankahi na advancements zo kurumbisa ebikorwa tactics ebirwano sebsya haruhochi bataza umukubyamo mwena historia za mu tiva military base yabasa kuza kurambura bakozere enyonyi eziba bakozere reparent ezikubasa kubitinga the anti-air defense system ya Ukraine n'amahanga gandi bazitestinga barango bamara ku dropping a bomb nebasa kuba successfully dropped air defense system za Ukraine zitajiteganise mwani yareba konka kaherize yagira ati mpurire ngo Belgium, Denmark, Norway na Netherlands abenje mu kumanka Holland ni Netherlands bo nabahireyo kugira ngo basindike enyonyi enwanyi za F-16 muri Ukraine zibase kutera Russia yajate mutafayo atenyonyi za F-16 nutuzumanya obukodyo bwazo nituzumanya weakness heri ati mweni mumbanze mubareke bazirete mu rutaro nabakureba kabi kutwabetu basize kutera armored cars tukatera armored tanks tukatera buri kirwa station cyo koreta tukatera drones zabo rero ngo F-16s ataba mubareke zini cyamane cykwasa kora umurutaro ntwakuzikwasaganya na Zelensky na watayire kampu ye batimbe ndachi cha border yekwambaka kuzikuruza Belarusi kwijana kuno mpaka Poland mwen batimbire ndachi hata batangire tactic sensia mbena kugambe na Ukraine itangiye gukora birwanuso byayo wayo muka kugira ngo base kongeza abarwanuso mangane gatakaberesere agango makuru Putin kwakuzarawa Putin arakurambura Zelensky na warakurambura.
Full-fledged war against Russia has sought F-16s for many months now. Belgium, Denmark, Norway and the Netherlands are among countries which have pledged to donate F-16s. A coalition of countries has promised to help train Ukrainian pilots in their use. Putin noted the fighters can carry nuclear weapons and Russia must consider that in the way it organizes matters. The F-16s, he said, would be legitimate targets, wherever they might be. The Russian president visited a military base in the Tver region, which houses the 344th State Center for Combat Use and Retraining of Flight Personnel. Putin was seen walking with officers and inspecting new helicopter systems and missiles. During the tour, an officer was heard telling him about a new defense system which protects choppers. Putin was also shown, in fact, the X-39 missile, a multi-purpose projectile that allows the military to operate against armored vehicles and in fortified areas. The president's visit follows the Moscow Concert Hall shooting last week. On Wednesday, the Russian Foreign Ministry said that it was extremely hard to believe that ISIS would have had the capacity to launch the attack. In fact, spokesperson Maria Zakharova repeated Moscow's assertions, for which it has not yet provided evidence that Ukraine was behind the attack on the Crocus City Hall. Ukraine has stepped up construction of fortifications in recent months as it shifts its military operations against Russia to a more defensive footing. The defenses aim to help Ukraine weather assaults while regenerating its forces as Moscow takes a battlefield initiative. Zelensky said earlier that work on defensive constructions need to be accelerated around Donetsk towns and in regions of Kharkiv, Sumy, Chernihiv, Kyiv, Rivne and Volyn. Those regions stretch all the way up from Ukraine's east along the border with Russia and Belarus to its western ally, Poland. During his trip to Sumy region, Zelensky also paid a visit to Ukrainian soldiers treated at the military hospitals and awarded medals. On Wednesday, Zelensky replaced one of the country's top security officials with the head of Ukraine's foreign spy agency.
Sky Express Show mwebare mnongo Britain ninga shibongereza yimu kumanya umuruburaya nirihanga eri kukizayo kubasa kufandinga mwene budget kushanga eri ne military aid military budget yayo eri mpango mu buraya konka bwanyuma yo gumane supplyinga ebirwano so muri Ukraine na sente kugumane sine ko muri Ukraine ebirwano so basa kuchendera kandi rate yaba mahe umuru Britain bukuruga umahe bokusha bakuruzayininga ni mpango munonga kukira hari yabo abokusha bakwegita amahe gabungereza mwene bashangiye ngwe namba ubwinji bw'amahe gabo buyo no bucendera kandi abokuza mutu kubareba tubaro bingi kwaje guza gukora kikwekweto bashanga nguna sente hati budget bibine tekwasa kumara bashaba sente bashaba government ngwe base kuba nebongeza akasara ebase kuba nebongeza aha sente eza mwene shibe kuba nebongeza aha budget yo kuba allocated to the defense system or defense ministry. Cabinet yaiteretere ntama ngu sente z'abanyinji tumukwasa kumana mutumana sente mutyo aba defense bajangu bisho buturonda sente kato yiture amahegu twine ishayizi nkarosha kiya kuturumba tukayi defendinga tuta hatari mu NATO hatari mu hangari na kutwataraho yitwe nkitwe tukarwana tuta kwaje buza kushanga amahegu bine nagoguba kubara amtora mushanjo necweka bashanga emtora ishano nenkomishatu nugo agarfiti kwasa kurwana basangire emitwa amaheme twareshatu gona gar unfit gatakubasha kwerwa gatakubasha kurwana awogira ngo amumwe abarwaze emitwe abandi nabarema abandi bine mu weakness abandi mwen bashanga amahe agobine gonka umunamba na mache munonga mwen so 2/3 of the total military personnel za bine abarfiti twakasa kujango basustaining ortaro rohango kumaro wire buringwa mwene ngo kikumanyisa ngeshayize nkarosha yekoramu kujango atereka tuyose academy emundu mwene ngwengo mahate zihindure mersyo zihindukize Bungereza bakabatera Russia kagitera kimwe gishisha mwene bajya nguteka hempenda yo kongeza defense budget sente kandi teka hempenda yo kuhandika mahe tukore n'ibirwanise bindi ibyo murembe amahanga kagariyo ngakore ibirwanise by'amani itoka twesibira ibirwanise bitwire nabyo buri mwaka ntusoze ibirwanise nibyo bimwe modo ni yemwe turete ibirwaniso ibyamutindo umusya munonga Britain Prime Minister Zerati Nyaburamwe kama Nesta cabinet tutense tureko twakireta umwishengero tureko twabasa kwigirizinga the military budget na runo rwari nuro ryoko agango makuru.
Well, in a year-long review by the Commons Defence Committee, it was explained that the government will never achieve war fighting or strategic readiness without urgent reforms. These reforms will help Britain reverse the recruitment crisis and dramatically boost UK's stockpile of weapons and ammunition. The committee discovered that more people were leaving the British forces than joining them. A Ministry of Defence spokesperson said that increasing recruitment and improving retention across the services was a top priority. So amid increasing pressure on defence spending, the committee discovered that at least £1.9 billion, which is over $2.4 million of funding, may now be used to plug shortfalls in defence rather than to replenish and boost stockpiles. British government figures released in January also found that almost 30,000 troops are medically unfit for combat operations due to physical injuries and mental health issues. The problem is even bigger in the British Army, where only 53,000 troops out of a total of around 75,000 personnel are currently fully fit for frontline operations. That means that 30% of all troops in the army, or 3 in 10 soldiers, would not be fully fit to fight in a conflict at the moment. United Kingdom's defence spending crisis comes after UK's Secretary of Defence, Grant Shapps, spoke with members of Parliament. Shapps said that he had lobbied Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Chancellor Jeremy Hunt for more money to be spent on defence in the recent budget. However, Shapps failed to secure the increase that he was seeking.
Sky Express Show nukushamba sambia ho abweshonga yakire kurabona kwa tesi munkemwe Korea abashaho baidima abashaho bashabire okuzayininga bahandika impapura zo kuhumura ahamirimo yabo bakwenda government banse kwa humuza yerekere field abana basya abarije aba haramba professors ba senior medics haramuna na ba intern doctors bona ekibaterezo mutwe no kugira ngo South Korea eragira universities bongeze a limited number yo kwakira abashaho babeji hati akachikwa kokura bwa doctors muri South Korea kashita makagira ngo wichereza kugira ngo universities zitasye abashaho bingi ekikumashango noza kushoza abashaho bingi already itwe nka turi nke 13 turi nke 13 mu ihango no kurenga hati itobashaho bakugu umuntu kumishatu zitu mwagumana mureta bashaho abandi bijure mu system echo echikumasa ngo labor yamara kuba high services quality services will be too low abuja ngo no ina bashaho bingi bo kubasa kugira ngo hatka tugire nka Dr. Eriki no mukugumunonga kandi atuye nakora abe nafuna miliyoni 5 buri kwezi hati yagira ngo mutwongeza hakashara kabakace miliyoni 5 mutuhereza haro mukaga numwakwanga kugira ngo abantu nibinje mu field murete abatakumanya bintu ebi base kubana bakora ngo kindi ecyo kwijura cyo mwijurano gwa professionals umufield yo bushaho ncyakureta ho okusisikara kwa profession mweno obushaho nko murumo gonka ngwa kwa gwafa cya kabiri buri muntu akushora nakuba nayironda 10 hera arire nakuba nakora byafandumu arukumangu takufuna kasente kingi aho kugira ngo hano mango yine binje bakwasa kuhereza obuhereza noza kubashashora ubona noza kubahemerumo ubaka sente kake uri atarakora cyero konka yari umuntu omwe arokore ikintu cyana sitaho mutuma arakufuna kasente kakire naza gukora icyo cyetire Korea yagira abashaho abo mutindo nkonka mwagaruko muri yebe ito government wahandika ipapura byitu kandi ntwenda mutwikirize basini ya doctors mukagamba ngo tume tukore esha 5 nibero mu wiki ntwenda muzicendeze mu wiki tukore esha hezri hansi ya 5 nibero zo mukuturagira aganwa makuru.
Some publicly, others in private. Medical school professors across South Korea who double as senior doctors at major hospitals have been resigning. They had been clocking weeks of overtime to fill a void left by the thousands of resident doctors and interns who walked off the job last month, pushing back against the government's medical reform plans. They're joining the growing chorus of medical professionals who insist the plan centered around raising the number of medical school entries by 2/3 next year will destroy the profession.
The expansion of medical school admissions quotas will clearly lead to the collapse of our country's medical education system, beyond the breakdown of medical education itself.
They're appealing to the courts to block its implementation. Senior doctors will keep their posts while their resignations are processed, but reduce their hours to the government-mandated 52 hours per week, which is expected to slow out patients. Tongju is one such cancer patient. He accuses both the doctors and the government of ignoring the needs of severely ill patients.
They are playing a game of chicken with the lives of critical patients like us. The trainee doctors seem to think their collective action is a matter of pride or self-esteem, and that their generation must transform the medical field. But such movements represent waves of death and fear for us, especially those with serious illnesses.
The government has yet to attribute any patient deaths to the walkout, but it's not clear if and when the 13,000 striking doctors will hold talks with the government and reach an agreement.
Sky Express Show nyenda kutangira iyo mugenzi wanje yasa kuba na twegitaho agamajingo kureba ngo twagomezamu no bwire bukwika noza kumpesa mwe igwire shaza nazo zagenda anyway hati hine yambuza he kibuzo konka icyo kibuzo na nyina nkigaruke mu banka shi akwakira broad mnonga waja ngo comparing ngire ngo wabibinyishaba nabyo still hati ogogu yagira amende where is the message mbamwetoha messages that message is here where aguma mweta Gerardine no Moitane no Moitane Bamoitano no okay kamurekene ari mu district yewa ekazo okay ogo mwana wakazo ya mbuze kibuzo message sigira byewano omwana akazo yagira ngo ayaga mu comparing Iran and North Korea in terms of wali ku message yayo sebo in terms of power amani security hati waza comparinga amahanga abiro mu security nebintu binje tukuba tugire ngo comparing twase kujana resolution emwe yo kugira ngo ihangeri rya kireri amahanga gabiro North Korea na Iran ngo ntuka kuzanazana ombintu byo bikwerinda gona nigakora bukubirire kugira ngo gabasa kwemerezaho konka all in nutshell in nutshell twaja ngo tupime military power according to the global firepower ranking 2024 ogo mwaka ogo Iran nene chizaman North Korea bintu bya military man ako munsi yona Iran ne kwata chi 14 South Korea North Korea ne kwata cha 36 munsi yona man aga military according to the global fire power ranking Iran nene chira North Korea nkakugira nti mbaba compare injire bintu byinji munonga ebe bintu bikurenga nankaga kugira ngo batu bagira ngo ihangere nirikizere umani ga military konko muri yebyo omurakache hati North Korea ekikuyamba ni Iran yo ne kwata ne spending 3% of their GDP on military kandi North Korea yo ne spending only 0.2% of their GDP kuziteko mahe mwen kugira ngo Iran ne spending a much mwen ne chiza North Korea sente ze kuteko mukurwanisa kugira ngo babasa kwekurakuranya much as GDP North Korea ne chiza Iran mu GDP entasya yihanga konka a sente zo kwa zitasya ibe kurwanisa wabeho kwingana ki yo ihangari ya Iran nejiheza 3% kandi North Korea yo na allocating at only 0.2% ya GDP when omusente za military budget omukasenta kwa kwayo omubujasomo North Korea ne kwata only billion yemwene mutwaro nkaga obuhumbi akahumbi kamwe mutwaro nkaga za dola eziteko mahe kandi yo Iran ne kwata obuhumbi 25 ebiteko mahe wachenga Iran neteka obuhumbi 25 yo North Korea buri mwaka neteka yo akahumbi kamwe mutwaro 40 za dola ne mutwaro nkaga za dola mwen waza kureba twaza kugira ngo ummahe North Korea agar active ko kubasa kurwana ine amahego kwingana agar active shaye je kubasa kurwana gar million emwe ne mutwara 28 again agar active then Iran agar active ne mutwara nkaga na gumwe wahura agar ya standby mwena agar yo mu reserve kugira ngo ateje reserve force ryo North Korea ine amahego kwingana mutwaro nkaga kandi Iran ine amahego kwingana mutwaro 35 agar yo standby but all in all no shanga North Korea ine amahe kwingana million mukaga mutwaro 5 bibiri nshanjo na mwenda kandi Iran ine all in sum ine amahe kwingana million 23 mtwaro nkaga na gumwe kenda bibiri 15 mwene bityo konka all in all hati Iran eri mu 14 North Korea eri mu 36 kanye baze abonshonga yakire nabara musemwe nabambare ba Sky Express show eri joba nenda kwebaza buri muwena yana rebera nde Easydee Omwishikatwa rad mutano wanda basika nakora musyaho mu rugo muhoro webare kubayo Edward Banyanga ba chairman Mairo Serome Harwe hariyo go amera mahil hariyo aba mitoma hariyo abakazo abakiruhura ogo mucyara go muruti mwana baramusya tine nkwasa kuramutya kandi nkabasa kureka abonshonga yakire ndi Easydee Omwishikatwa karhanga igambirine wenyini omwana wabakama abamurema rema karema obusinje bugumenimwe